to another exciting Elev8 where we sit down with some cool ass artists in this industry. First, we have this really cool ambassador program. You can join as an Elev8 doll or an Elev8 tent, and it's really awesome. You get to help us build Elev8. It's super unique, super special, and you're really a part of something special. Check out elevatambassador.com to learn more. Another cool thing we have is our Elev8 Veterans program. I'm really honored to be a part of it. Teresa helps run it, and it's super awesome. We get to rehabilitate and reacclimate veterans into society our way. And you know what? I think we're doing it right. Go check it out at elevatveterans.com. Third, there's Elev8 Bingo. It's super cool, super fun, and we get to show you more of what we do. And on top of that, every game there's a chance to win $50 credits for elevateglassgallery.com. Go check it out. And now, let's roll into this super awesome Elev8. All right, well, welcome to Elev8. We got Conversion Glass, and thank you so much for joining me, man.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm glad to be here.
Hell yeah. So my first question, and to me, one of the neatest things always is, how did you get into this glass blowing thing? You got to be a little crazy, or just to do it, because it's fucking hard. So how did you do this?
I felt and had a lot of help along the way. So my dad's an artist, and we got into it about the same time. We did ceramic ceramic shows, and he sold pottery. He was a potter for years and years when I was growing up. And there was a lady who was making glass beads at an art fair we were attending to sell his pottery at. And we ended up taking a little class from her, and he bought some soft glass and a little hothead, and we were just making soft glass beads in our garage for a while.
Man, that had to be pretty cool to like just do this little hobby with your pops and stuff, like.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's been something like we both bonded on together, and we were both really interested in. It started out as like a hobby, like I'd just go in the garage and make a few beads as a teenager, and then years later, he was doing it more than me, and he found a little niche in the community that was doing pipes. And I was going to college at the time, but they accepted me as an apprentice a production pipe company did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's kind of my introduction to Boro. And I stayed with them for a few years and then left and started doing my own thing.
Have you done any soft glass work since you've gone into Boro?
I haven't. So I just did like a few little sculptures and beads on the mandrel. And I'm actually thinking about buying some soft glass soon. I want to teach bead classes down here locally, and I think I'm going to do that pretty soon here.
And when exactly did you start? You said you were around 13 with your dad, and how old are you now?
I'm 28, so yeah, I was introduced when I was probably about 15, 16, and then I started my apprenticeship when I was 18. So I count like 10 years, but I knew about glass for about 13. Right. I've been doing it full time for 10.
And then joining an apprenticeship program, and that's for making pipes and everything then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that was a really awesome, like, I'm sure there was a lot of other glass blowers that were just feeding you knowledge.
I had a really good mentor there, and then I had a friend. Well, my really good mentor was Kenyon. He goes by Boro Cato, and he gave me my introduction to hollow work with Boro and a lot of basics for production pipes and beginning rigs. I had a help from a couple other people too, but he was my main teacher.
Do you feel doing production pipes was a really good thing in what you're doing now? Because, we were at the show when I got to meet you in person and whatnot, and your work is just super clean. It's really, really different. And so I was wondering if that production helped you in any way.
Um, I think so. I think it's good to start there. Like now, in like 10 years into my career, I feel like it's good for me to go into a head shop and see all the shelves because I forget about the production stuff. But I think it was really good for me. It taught me craft, and also it gave me some discipline on how to work a regular job as well. I
Right? Because you
actually,
were right out of college going into a you ain't going to get paid much money until you learn skills.
yeah, I actually never had like a real job before that apprenticeship, which is really weird, but it's kind of crazy how it worked out for me.
What were you going to school for?
So can you say that again? You cut out for a sec.
Oh, what were you going to school for?
I was going in the music program. I was at the University of Utah and a performance program, playing bass guitar and contrabass.
Oh, right on.
It was a lot of work, but it was fun for the year and a half I stayed. The glass blowing kind of took. I I stopped going and stayed in the glass studio full time instead.
So you've always kind of had like a passion for the arts in a sense and being creative.
Yeah, I've always loved art and picked Dad for sure. He's we always had sketchbooks and things growing up.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Um, and then have you taken any other classes to enhance your skills? And if so, do you feel they help out?
Um, I haven't taken classes from other glass blowers except for helping my dad in a few of his milli classes. But when I've gone out and done collabs with other artists, I'll pick up on like something small that makes a world of difference. And that
Mhm.
seems to be the case like every time I go out and get to spend a little more time in the community.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
that's the beauty of collabs is not only are you gaining, but the other blower that you're working with is also gaining. Usually both people grow a bit.
I think so, yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially because I'm in a really small town. There's only one other glass blower here, so I don't get out much and get to be a part of the community as much as I'd like to. So
Is
that's
that
really
one
valuable for me when I get to go and be in those experiences.
is that one other glass blower your dad there too?
No, there's so I live about 4 hours south of my dad
Oh
in a
wow.
little desert town in southern Utah. Yeah. And the other glass blower here is an older gentleman who makes marbles and hand pipes.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Um, and where do you get your inspiration and creativity from in your glass?
I get a lot of inspiration from the community. It's nice to have as much exposure to share our work now. Um, a lot of the times I'll be feeling low or what I don't want to do, and I can flip through at my favorite artists and see what's going on and get inspired. I also draw a lot of inspiration from, I would say, like Mayan and Aztec culture,
Okay.
for my Warrior series and some of my Dremel work. Those kind of started that series.
And I seen a
But
new
I
piece.
also,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
I seen that you started a new piece you posted, and I was wondering how you did that. Was that a blob and you dremeled that out and formed that sculpture on there?
Yeah, so I've been playing with that technique. Um, I'm really excited about it and have been really enjoying the Dremel work. So I'll build up the solid form of the face, with either a hollow bubble or a gathered solid, and I'll like roughly add like the planes of the face and like the places that are raised in the face,
Mhm.
so that I can dremel down to and get the details.
Wow.
And I've been really enjoying that and have been practicing. But I want to do a lot more of that this year and incorporate it into more types of pieces.
What, that brings up a neat thing. Like, we're in this, and it's hot and it's all that, and now you're doing what's called cold working. What made that transition, or how did you come up with that in your style?
Um, I've always I've always loved carving. I had a slight fascination with wood carving when I was younger, and I love like the old masters who would carve from marble and stone.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a lot of
crazy.
really cool Dremel artists who carve into gemstones and stuff too. And that was my main inspiration. And I figured I should try it with glass. Um, but yeah, I wanted to do more sculpting with it. And there's a lot of people who are doing they're like the tattoo artists who do their designs over the I forget the name of the color now, the like butterscotch and colors like that. But
Mhm.
I wanted to carve deeper and do sculptural work with it.
Right. Yeah, it's quite different. And again, it is so neat and so crazy that I've been doing this 18, 19 years, and each year you see somebody new, and you're new to me. I know you've been doing it for a while, but man, every time it's just so many new designs, new things, and finding stuff. And like you said, seeing other artists and seeing what they're doing to be inspired. And it's not that you're copying them, but it's like, can I do that and do it in my own way and stuff. So what a neat industry
Yeah,
we're in, huh?
it's really cool. And yeah, I'm definitely one of those artists who, I don't know, I like to play with a lot of different techniques. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do a lot of the time.
So you're a jack of a lot of techniques, and maybe not a master of any particular one, is what you're saying, or
I've actually been thinking about that lately. Like, do I want to like I do a lot of the latticino and cane work, and I want to play with that a little bit more and try some different patterns because I've stuck to the same style for a long time. But it's hard. We have such a diverse medium and lots of things to try and play with.
so that I wonder, do you and if you don't want to answer, that's fine, but do you have ADD? Because I find a lot of glass blowers are blessed with that thing. Some would say it's a curse, but that you're just really out there doing a lot of different things, and sometimes glass helps with that.
I've had like mental health stuff, but I'm not sure on ADD. That wasn't something that they said I might have, but I definitely have a hard time sitting still. Like ordinarily, I'm like anxious, like I have a lot of anxious energy, so it's definitely a possibility. Um,
Do you find glass helps
but
like
yeah, glass is great.
do you find glass helps
Yeah,
calm you
glass
down
is
from
great.
anxiety and everything like that as well?
Glass helps me get into a flow more than other things do. Definitely. Um, it helps me get to that place where like really good athletes or artists talk about where like there's nothing else. It's just you working on something, like there's no me anymore. It's just the workflow and it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you, so that's a question. Sometimes the art will like just take in so much on people that they don't have outside relationships. Do you find that ever uh, the art is taking over you so much that your outside relationships suffer from that?
Yeah, I could be called a workaholic. Um, I I mostly have like focus on my relationship with my wife, and then I see like friends like once a month, and then I try and get in phone calls with my family since I live south, and I should visit more, but yeah, it definitely takes over.
I wouldn't call it a workaholic because you know, that's maybe doing something that you don't like. It's a maybe a passion hobby or a passion love, or I don't know. But
I like that better. Yeah, let's spin it positive.
yeah, because like I mean, how lucky can you be in life to find something that like it really is Christmas Day almost every freaking day. Like, you know, there's times the water bowl happens, but it's crazy, right?
Yeah, with glass and art, like I actually just had like a few days, which is weird for me, where I didn't feel like leaving the house. I had like no energy. I needed to sit and recover for a couple days, but like every if I have gas in the tank, I'm ready to come in and get to work and try something new.
Right, right. Um, what are your favorite items to blow or create?
I It's actually kind of funny. I don't know why. I wouldn't see myself saying this, but it's the first thing that popped in my head. I like chillums. Um, you probably I don't know small dry pipes for some reason, but I do really like beads as well. I do a lot of beads, and I'm also starting to become obsessed with those dot implosions. Saw a few at the show, but those have kind of taken over a lot of my time lately, and I've been really enjoying practicing those.
And it's beautiful because you can put the dot implosions on pipes. Uh, I too am guilty of I love pipes, man. They're you can carry them in your pocket. You can do these things. They're just it's not too big. It's like the right thing.
Yeah.
It's not scary
I
sometimes.
yeah. I I think that's part of it too. That's a really comfort zone place for me. I'm trying to branch out and do some harder, more time consuming sculptures and complex rigs with more like plumbing attachments and arms. But yeah, it's really easy to stick in that comfort zone, I think, especially with glass, because it can be scary when you're ready to go and dedicate so much time into something that may fail.
Right, right. And that's, you know, it's for people that are just new to glass or don't know much about it. It is. It's each time you're going 10% or 15% into a technique, it's a chance of failure. It's a chance you have hours and hours just in the water bowl. And again, what I think makes glass blowers a little bit crazy because or or more humble as well. I think they're crazy humble and because it's just always happening. You know, you're just little Rockies. We're all little Rockies, I think, out there and just willing to get up and get knocked down. And it's neat.
It is neat. I like that perspective a lot.
Um, do you have a favorite color to work with?
um, that's a hard one. I've been really enjoying royal jelly right now, mostly because it's something that's opaque enough to implode in
Mhm.
my dot pendants. Um, I also started working more with the amber purples, and I really enjoy green amber purple right now, and regular amber purple. Trying to think if there's anything else that I've really liked to play with. No, I think those are probably good for now.
Oh yeah.
My top couple.
Is there a color out there that you just I'm done with that thing. I don't need it. It doesn't need to be on the palette.
Not really. Um, if it works, I'm happy. It gives me variety, and usually the things that work are usually pretty. And I think, I don't know, we have a lot of really good glass companies that are giving
Mhm.
us, and they're competing and giving us good palettes to work with right now. So I think everything has its place if you can kind of find its little niche, or like what does this want to be in my style, you know?
Mhm.
Um,
And
so if it,
unobtainium's one like that, where it's a lot of ways it doesn't work, but there are right ways to use it.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that one because that would be something I wouldn't buy and use because I'd be too afraid of it dying on me. So there's a couple like that. I've had bad luck with a couple of the slimes, but in the right applications, I still really like those as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge of being an artist in the glass field is, and especially the boro is knowing that how different colors work, what the application that they can work in, and because they can all work. It's just do they work together or this and that. Where a painter, I think they can just paint and they're good to go.
Yeah, they can mix their paint too and see what it looks like before they put it on the palette on the canvas.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Right. Um, what's the most difficult piece you've ever attempted to do, and was it a success?
Um, I made I made a like a full body warrior kind of guy once. He was he was inspired by like an Aztec Mayan kind of vibe, and I actually had to make a little stand for him for him to sit upon. And he was pretty challenging. He did turn out good, so he was a success. And I did the series after him though. Looking back, it was pretty clunky, but I made a few larger bodied sculptures that were difficult for me at the time that worked out. And I feel like sculptures because you got to find out how to sit something.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not. I don't mess with sculpturing. That shit. For me, it's uh the symmetry you got to get on a lot of the sculpting. That's you can have that. Good job.
Okay, it's hard. I that's I don't know. Sculpture is one of my main inspirations, but I don't do it as much as I should as practice because it is daunting, especially with hollow work and the heat control that's needed and the time to put in to make something look right enough to take off the handle.
Yeah, it's every time I see a sculpted piece, it's just mind-boggling to me. And there's, you know, how they get the little crevices in there. And to me, if you have a butt, it's gonna crack. So I'm like, I don't even know how these cats are doing it, and it's nuts to me.
It's it's too like that's something I want to dive into as well, or maybe take a class from somebody who plays with more textures and like pushes the limits of, well, maybe not push the limits, but like knows where things will stay stable, has really good heat control for the time that they have it out of the kiln.
Right. Yeah,
Because
I like how you put
there's
that.
sculptors that, yeah, but there's sculptors that some of their things will not look melted in, and that really scares me. Um, but it, things stay stable and they look proper, you know.
Mhm.
So I wonder, like working around some of those layering and and keeping things stable to achieve the look that you want.
Yeah, I it's again, that's the whole thing about glass is the rabbit hole is just really where you want to go and how much time you want to lose to this passion
Yeah,
or gain to it, maybe, I guess was better. So
yeah. I might just do a quick shout out to somebody. I met him
Yeah.
in Michigan. His name's Nick by reverse baller, and he's the reverse baller because the more glass he blows, the less baller he gets.
And is that just
Yeah,
because you've
he's like a gypsy, so he like loses money and stuff when he he goes and works with glass. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I really
yeah.
liked him.
Yeah, we'll have to look into him and probably a good guy to talk to too. That's what I love about these is just opening doors with blowers, and there's so many out there. Um, and do you get, you said collaboration, that you enjoy that? Do you get to do that a lot? And if so, do you end up traveling? Um, or do you have people come to your place?
Um, I haven't hosted many collaborations. When I lived in Salt Lake City, I'd go to a few different studios. I did that a few times, but mainly I've done mail collabs where people send me section work or I mail out section work,
Nice.
and I really enjoy those since I'm secluded. And my last, I went to a weekend at Bernie's last fall and got it in a bunch of collaborations, and that was really awesome.
When you collaborate, do you like to be the guy that kind of produces the prep stuff, or do you like to be the finisher? Or
I like both. It kind of depends on who I'm working with. I know there's glass blowers who like to do pattern work, and there's glass blowers who who have a lot of hollow technical skills. I have a little bit of both, and depending on who I'm working with, either one is fine with me.
hell yeah, that's really awesome. Um, do you feel like there's a lot more pressure on you when you're the guy finishing?
Yeah,
More
um,
so than if it was
it,
like your own piece, I guess, is where I want to say.
there's a little bit more, and I think over time it lessens. My first few rig collaborations where I was finishing, like I'd feel shaky and under pressure for sure. But I think over time, like the more pieces and the more your success rate increases, the more confidence you'll have.
When you do collaborate
Um,
in your finishing, do you try to stay more in your comfort zone, or do you also try to push the limit?
I think it's tricky because sometimes you'll just get inspired to when you're working with somebody. So I think there's a time to push, but you got to know your boundaries a little bit because you don't want to go and try something completely new.
Right. Oh yeah.
But
Um, what's the most amount of time you've ever put into a piece? Is that the Mayan sculpture, or have you done other things that have been more time with maybe smaller techniques, or I mean more complicated techniques?
um, that's that's a tricky question for me because I usually don't measure how long I'm working on something. But I know I've I've at least done like probably like 24-hour projects.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, so like 3 full days in the studio. Well, actually, yeah, at least 3 full days. Um, and probably a couple that have taken a little longer than that. The project I'm working on right now has at least over 16 hours in it so far, so hopefully that will be completed well.
Hell yeah, gangster, man. Yeah, that going more than 4 or 5 hours for me is like next level crazy again, because it's it's each spot is a chance for like craziness to happen. So hats off to you for doing these 20 plus hour pieces, man. Uh, it's good
Thank you.
stuff.
Yeah, it takes a lot of patience. I feel like the more you dive into those zones, though, I don't know, I find myself like it's good for me because it shows me where I need to take breaks when I push myself. I don't know, if you start getting frustrated, or if you're like starting to notice your breathing's getting shallow, or just losing patience, be like, okay, I need a break, or I don't know. I like it's just a way to learn about yourself when you try some harder things.
Absolutely. And I feel sometimes blowers, they're more in touch with themselves and just kind of the world, because it is like that push and the failures. And it's like a, a whole lifetime happens every day for you almost in a little thing. And it's just weird.
It's really weird. I don't get out much. So when I do get out, I'm shocked sometimes. It's like a wake up call for me to go out and drive around or be in public places, like be around all these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet champs, that was a neat thing going, or yeah, you were at Las Vegas and just a ton of people there. And
I feel more comfortable in those settings when it's our community. So those aren't as bad, but like yeah, just everyday living around town, even if it's less people for some reason,
do you
is a little
find
more nerve-wracking for me.
Do you find, because I'm sure you're really focused, it sounds like, on your craft and then your family and whatnot. Do you find that when you do go out those places, you don't really have anything to talk about uh, other than glass?
Um, it it is. I have other passions too, like things I like, and I think it's easy to find common ground with other people, but it used to be really hard for me actually. I'm starting to gain more social skills the past few years.
Oh yeah,
um, but it's definitely easier to talk art and glass, and I'm glad me and my dad have that in common, especially to bond with. And
yeah, that's a super fresh. Like, anytime a parent and a child can bond, it's just crazy, because usually it is like at a certain level, it's just complete boom, and it's just really awesome. Um,
yeah,
have you
no,
got
go
to
ahead.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's have you got to compete in any kind of events or anything? Or
Not really. I've entered. There was one. There was a Utah local event called the Honey Pot, and I entered a few things in that. That was years and years ago. I don't know if they still run the event, but I entered that. I entered a pendant, and the sculptural Mayan guy that I made. He was part of that competition as well. Since then, I've entered. I entered one piece. I think the first couple years that Las Vegas ran, I entered a piece as well.
hell yeah. Have you ever thought about doing those live competitions, the crazy things that champs when they're feels like that's a lot of pressure.
It does. I don't know. I really want to push myself harder and try those things. I think next Las Vegas you'll definitely see me registering a piece in the World Series of Glass. And we'll see on Champs. I haven't actually been to Champs yet, but I need to get my foot in the door and actually attend the show, and then we'll see on competing there.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's really neat because there's, again, so many glass blowers in there. They're just there blowing glass, and they're almost feels like they're just giving out free knowledge if you want to hang out there with them for a minute. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I the first time I saw some really really talented glass blowers was at the DFO, and I was like, I don't know, like only a couple years in, and I got to watch Justin Janicki Icky making a really really beautiful piece with some of his shaman sculpting,
Mhm.
and oh, I was blown away. It was awesome. It's fun to reminisce back on those times when I was like really new and was, I don't know, there's a lot to love about glass, especially when you're first getting into it. It's like, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a question I love to ask is, you've been doing this 10 plus years. Do you find you still have the same love and passion today as when you first started?
No, actually, without a doubt. The drive to create and I is always there, and I think that's just part of me. And the passion for glass is still there to learn and get better at the craft. But when I first started, there was definitely like, I think it might have been me being young too. I think that was probably part of it. But just like practicing and learning new things and like looking up in the day being over, it feels like I had just barely got there, you know?
Mhm. Well, and I think that's a lot like life, even with relationships. When you first meet somebody, whether it's months or years, it's that honeymoon or fresh phase. And then you just grow and develop this same passion, same love, but it's more matured relationship. And I don't know, that's because I get that a lot where people are like, it's not the same, it's different. And I don't know, it'd be crazy to me if it was exactly the same and you were just all the time, because you've gained more as well as an artist and um, the respect. Like, I think at 1 or 2 years, you don't really understand what it takes to make these things. I mean, you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. That's
I,
fucking hard.
I don't know either. There's a lot of trendiness and kind of deciding what's good and not. It can be a little curated sometimes, but definitely like passion wise, and I don't know. There's times when like you don't want to come in and work still. You know, I was talking to we have a collector, my dad and I, who takes us fly fishing every year, and he does a fly fishing guide like every day all summer. He's like, it's the best job in the world, but he's still coming every day and got to deal with certain things, and you know, everything gets wearing after a while, but you still
You
gotta
gotta
focus
hunt.
on, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta hunt, get that food, and stay focused because I mean, it is. There's a lot of eye candy and everything out there, and you can lose your path in life really easily. Um, but that's just it. It's that water bowl, I guess, knowing that, dude, you can do it again, and you keep at it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, and then what are your hobbies outside of glass? Do you have it hobbies outside of that?
It's kind of funny. I actually count my Dremel work as a hobby. But I when I'm not when I have free time, I'll usually be playing video games. Um, I got obsessed with the Dark Souls series. I don't know if you know about that. But I've been playing that. I also like to play my instruments. And if I'm not feeling like doing those things, I like to spend time in the kitchen. I actually really like to cook.
Hell
When
yeah.
when I was growing up, I thought I wanted to be a chef. That was like my first passion was cooking and being in the kitchen and helping my parents or my grandma in the kitchen. So
Yeah, that's a completely different thing than working in one because I've done it and that's fucking hard too. And it's not
yeah.
Christmas tomorrow. So
No, I my wife actually has some culinary experience, and I learned a lot from her too. I'm a better cook because I have her, but yeah, that's a stressful environment. I'm glad I get to enjoy it in my own home and occasionally cook for guests
hell
instead
yeah.
of being on a professional side.
Yeah, and just like everything, you get to have that as a hobby. And if you were doing it, It'd be like, fuck that shit. I don't even want to cook myself food anymore, you know. So
Yeah.
um and then what can we look forward from you in the future?
Um, that's a good question. So the last few years, I've really focused on my shaping and getting all my hollow forms more uniform and thicker, and like just better cleanliness and execution. Um, I think this year I'm going to push myself harder and do more sculptural work and incorporate those into some of the things that I'm already doing, and then try a few new styles of work, specifically some new recycler designs with sculptural elements, and also incorporating the new dot implosion techniques into my functional work as well.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, man, I can't wait to see more of your work. Again, it's really different, really clean. It's just super awesome.
Thanks, Steve.
And then where's the best place to follow you and see your stuff? You have a website, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yep, you can follow me on Instagram at conversion_glass. My TikTok is also conversion_glass. My website is conversion glass, and you can find links to my website and to my ambassador site, to Elev8 with Steve, on my Instagram as well.
Well, thank you for that too, man. And really
Yeah,
just thanks for pushing yourself in this industry. It was just really awesome again to be neighbors with you, and you know, watching Nick get that pipe from you, and you didn't get to see him outside and just watch him like a little kid and shit. So just know you do that to people, man. Keep up the great work, brother.
I really appreciate it, and getting to meet you and connect more was one of the highlights of my show. So appreciate you.
Oh yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to this for your fans and followers out there?
I've had a lot of help over the years from my mentor, Kenyon Borokato, from my wife, and from my dad. And a lot of love from the community. I didn't really fit in and had trouble making friends, but I don't know. People in the cannabis industry and the glassblowing industry have always been so friendly and receiving, and I've always just felt like I've belonged with this community, so I'm grateful.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's like it's the community of misfits, and I always kind of like to think of, you know, especially the people I work with here, like we're awesome, but we just don't fit in like the normal square hole. We got a little more edges.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, that's great. I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, brother, thanks a lot for joining me. Again, a pure pleasure to have you here, and an honor to have you join us here. And thanks a lot, and keep up the good work, brother.
Hey, thanks so much, Steve.